And welcome to Writer's Life, place where you get the sight, sound, smells, taste of my personal writer's life. And where you get the truth, nothing but the truth. So help me God. Subscribe if you haven't already. Punch the like button. Tap the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on one single exciting video. Go to vinzandria.com. Get the brand new thrillers. Something coming out almost every week. Every 2 weeks anyway. Deranged Fan should be out no later than tomorrow afternoon, God willing. And look for all the new stuff. I have Ben Sobieck, one of my favorite recurring guests, best-selling author, entrepreneur, dude from the Midwest. He's nice, which means he's nice. You know, how was your breakfast, Ben? You know, if he goes to the Denny's, how was your breakfast? Oh, it was good. Yeah, it was really good. You know, and I guess I always get this wrong, don't I, Ben?
Yeah. We're just having breakfast now. We're having a beer at 2 o'clock. But it's NA, so it's fine.
Oh, okay.
I guess it's more socially acceptable, right? It was just what was cold and in the fridge. That's breakfast.
Good. Oh, really? What time is it in Wisconsin?
Well, we're on the Central Time Zone.
Right.
It's 2 o'clock p.m.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Are you more of a night owl or a day guy?
Well, I used to be a morning person, and then I had kids, and now I'm a night owl because that's when you get all your time back to do a bunch of things that you would like to do but can't during the day.
But they're off all week, right? They're on vacation.
Well, not this week, but they will be soon. It changes, you know, but the breaks and everything. But this being February, they got Monday off for President's Day,
right.
And that's it. Yeah.
Right. God, little guys. Seems like yesterday. Raising them kids, then they become big kids in their 30s.
Yeah.
And stuff. Like, you know, it's like.
And then they're not spilling milk; they're spilling cars.
Yeah, been through it. Believe me.
Oh, God.
So I'm drinking coffee right here.
Yes.
Purple Cow coffee. No, not yet. I will be one day. It's Writer's Block coffee. So tell us about your newest. Like I said, Ben's not only this best-selling author and putting out all sorts of great stuff, great content, mystery, thriller stuff, but he is into so many businesses. It boggles the mind. I don't know how you do it. And tell us about your new thing. What's going on?
Oh, well, okay. Well, since 2018, also that's very nice of you to say. I can't let a compliment slip by without trying to like notch it down a little bit. So thank you for saying that.
He's nice. I'm not used to it.
Since 2018, I've had a roast to order online coffee company called Writer's Block Coffee, and it's great coffee. I can get into all the reasons why, but if you go to writersblockcoffee.com, you will understand why it's very good. But basically, with e-commerce and with products like that, you tend to like reevaluate your model. And this has just become moribund for a number of reasons, but not because the product was bad, but just because it wasn't all that remarkable. It was not a purple cow. It wasn't really worth looking at. And if it was, it took a lot of work to get there. So Writer's Block Coffee right now is sold at cost, which I don't think any roast to order coffee company has ever done before because it's just crazy. And I'm tooting my own horn here just a little bit, but it came to me in the shower, and I'm very proud of myself. But we sell it at a cost, and which means that it's at a good price for what you're getting, a very good price, especially for the quality of it. But if anybody buys it, they get free U.S. shipping on top of it being at cost, and then if they feel like it's not obligated, but it is optional, they can leave a tip, and that's how the business grows. So if you found value in the coffee or just what we're trying to do here, trying to get the coffee out to more people, because it seems like people get hosed on every end now,
Right.
all over
Right.
the place. Like,
Yeah.
things get more expensive, but you don't really get anything more for it.
No.
Well, now this is like I just dropped the price very drastically. Anyway, so you buy it at cost, you leave a tip, and then there's a tip goal. And if the tip goal gets reached, I release a brand new coffee. So it's kind of like there's a bit of gamification. I'm not saying this in a real like jazzy way, because this is kind of like my business mind here, but we got a bit of gamification. We've got some Purple Cow. We've got a little bit of that kind of crowdfunding piece of it, where you're encouraged to tell your friends about this, because I think once people try this coffee at writersblockcoffee.com and they look at the price and then they go out and try to find something similar, they're going to be wondering how this got pulled off. But it got pulled off because I've had 6 years of good relations, excuse me, with an excellent roaster, and who has a very tight control on the supply chain, which is an enormous advantage over a lot of smaller coffee operations. So that's what it is. You know, you gotta stop and reassess every now and then. I mean, just like with writing, selling books, you gotta figure out different ways of doing things. I see like every third release now is out on Kickstarter before it gets onto Amazon now. Like, that wasn't the thing 2 or 3 years ago.
No.
So the models change, and you got to change with them. And if you can, great. And if not, just you got to bide your time. But I don't know. I was just kind of like stuck on this Purple Cow idea. Like, what would be so radical I could do with this? And this is what I came up with.
I love that idea, Purple Cow. Like, I almost never comment on LinkedIn, almost never. But when I saw you were doing this, it's like, I forget what my comment was, but I was like intrigued.
Well, and that's kind of what it is. I mean, that's like the concept. I mean, I'm not saying it's Purple Cow coffee. It's that the Purple Cow concept applied to this kind of coffee, which comes from a book by Seth Godin.
Seth Godin.
Yeah. I wrote about it like 20 years ago, but it still holds. And a lot of what I've been seeing on the consumer packaged goods side of e-commerce, and e-commerce includes books,
right,
as well, is that you just have to do that extra something to get people on board. And maybe that's not where you make your money. Like, the money for this business, the profit comes from tips. But there's no guarantee that anybody's going to tip, and they don't have to.
Oh, you know, I was talking about being nice, and like, you know, there's a joint down the road from me, and like a pizza joint, and that's that's run by like a family from Turkey, so go figure, right? But anyway, like they have one of those, you know, you tap your card and it's like, it immediately, because I just take away, you know, like I just grab a couple slices and go, and and it comes up like, you know, tip, you know, like 10%, 20%, or no tip, and I'm always like, no tip. I'm like, you're not waiting on me. I'm just grabbing your pizza, and like, you're getting your upcharge, you know. So like,
well, yeah, I think
feel guilty, like karma's gonna, like, you know, blow out my tires on my Jeep or something. I don't know.
Well, you can pay for that karma by going to writersblockcoffee.com and leaving a generous tip.
There you go, yeah.
Because all the karma, it all counts. It's the same bucket.
I don't think it's right that you come on my show and extort me for money for your business.
No, I'm not extorting you. You want to, you know, come back as a stink bug in the next life. That's up to you. I'm not going to stop you from that.
No, I'm hoping to come back as a dung beetle.
As a dung beetle. Well, it's an important job, you know?
Yeah. Do you think dung beetles don't know they're dung beetles?
Well, they think they got it pretty good. I'm sure.
I think they're probably like, look at those things. You're coming back as a human if you do bad shit, you know?
Like and not only that, the whole concept of dung is not really a bad thing, and it's everywhere. So you're just surrounded by good times everywhere you go as a dung beetle.
Right. Hey, Fred, how's your dung going today?
How's the dung today?
That's
No,
a
it's
hell of
great.
look at that dung ball. Wow. That's better than the one you had last spring.
Well,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Everyone, and then you're like the loser who's got the little dung ball and you can't, he's got a little dung ball.
Oh gosh.
It's
Frank's
gonna
got the
suck.
bad dung technique.
Yeah, yeah. I want to ask you a question. Yes, people are like starting, like a lot of writers are definitely doing the Kickstarter thing and all that sort of stuff. And I've dabbled with it, and Indiegogo as well. I've played with a little bit, but these, you can call them platforms, book platforms, and they are viable. But boy, do they take a long time. It takes longer to like create a Kickstarter program than to write some of the shit I write. So I've like, I still haven't like gotten into it full force, but I'm always looking for new places for the independent side of things, new places to tap into to sell books. Now, I'm hearing that Shopify is a decent platform for selling books, or is it not? Would you agree, or would you not?
Well, yeah. So if you want to make your own e-commerce site to sell books on, and I think that's the best way to think about it, it's an
Right.
e-commerce site. It's not an author site. I mean, there can be author sites. That's fine.
Right.
But if you want to sell direct to customers, then think of it as an e-commerce business. And as it goes, there are two really big players. I mean, there's a lot of players, but there's two that generally you come across the most when you're looking at building an e-commerce site, and that's WooCommerce, which plugs into WordPress, and Shopify. And Shopify, for my money, is absolutely the better choice. You see, this is what writing conferences need to do. They need to teach how to run e-commerce sites. Like, forget the whole like, let's find an agent thing, let's write a query letter. That's been done to death. It's like it's not even helpful anymore. What you need, maybe this is what we'll do someday. We'll do it at some point. We'll host a whole big writing conference all about how to run email automation, abandoned cart campaigns, retargeting.
I'm in on that.
Yeah. It's what we need to do. As an independent author, this is something that you want to do, unless you just want to stick to selling on other people's websites, which is fine. But if you want to go down the road of selling direct to your audience, cut out Amazon. Don't worry about anything else. You can beat Amazon on price because your margins are better. I imagine you have to buy your own stock, but you can print labels for the post office, drop things off at the post office. Just get.
Well, I mean, you can sell electronic books, right?
You could do that. I probably. That one's a little hard to port into on your readers.
It is on Shopify.
Well, on Shopify, yeah, you can deliver any file type you want. I mean, it's PDF, EPUB, whatever. So there's that option, but it's a whole suite of tools, and for what you pay for Shopify, it's like everything you need to run a modern business online is right there. And for the money, it's like, I think for each one of my sites, it's a ridiculous bargain. It's like $36 a month or something like that. I forget. I don't even look at it because it's just so worth it.
Right. Amazing. Because I've tried to sell direct off my website. I've had a few sales, but not really. It's still, the daddy is still Amazon, and then Goodreads, and then Google Play, and through Draft to Digital, like all those stores or whatever. But like, I'd like. There's no reason. I mean, I have some books on Patreon, but now I'm hearing you should not put your fiction on Patreon because they changed their rules of service, and they can actually mess with your writing or your rights or your intellectual property, so I might have to take those down. Just put up like nonfiction if you want or whatever on Patreon, but I guess.
Well, that's always leads people back to doing it themselves. I mean, these platforms will have changes that sometimes they look good, sometimes they look bad.
Terms of service.
But there's never going to be a more clean transaction between a buyer and a seller than unless I'm like standing in front of you and you give me cash. The next best thing is credit card, pay for it, I send it to you, and that's it. You get the best margins. It's just maintenance, though. It's maintenance and optimization. That's all that it is. But but it's an e-commerce site. I mean, that's how you got to think about it. It's an e-commerce site. You're selling something. It's an e-commerce site. Yep. So a lot of the services out there that build independent author websites just kind of like focus on it being like a business card, where if I had to do it all over again, I might do it a little bit differently. But I don't know that I even have a personal website. I have like an about page on one of my websites that I use.
Yeah,
that's about it.
Yeah, I don't know how. I mean, I have a site from you and I, right? And they're actually very proactive. If you pay them per month, whatever they want. They're proactive with doing SEO and all this sort of stuff. And they have a meeting with you every month and like, what can we do better and what should we work on? And, there's some good stuff about them and some bad stuff, but like I was like their first author site. And they were like, well, it's going to be kind of an experiment for us. And I don't know, I'm happy with the site,
No, they're supposed to say like, oh, you're our 1,000th person, but we forgot to send you the links to everybody else.
Yeah. There's probably class action lawsuit against them, but all these authors like you suck. No, they're actually very good. And I'm not shilling them because I'm not getting paid for that. But anyway, interesting because I'm definitely going to go for the Shopify. So it's definitely going to set up a store there. And then I'll maybe hire somebody to set up Kickstarter programs and or maybe Indiegogo. I don't know, whatever. I guess Indiegogo, you get all the proceeds no matter what, which means you probably don't get as many. I don't know, but Kickstarter, I don't know.
I don't know either. I really want to do a Kickstarter for this coffee thing. Not that I need pre-orders, but it just as a marketing vehicle.
Right.
But looking at I don't know. I don't know. This is where I start to like lose visibility. Like I can talk about e-commerce all day and e-commerce websites and all this stuff, but Kickstarter remains this enigma to me because it doesn't look indie anymore. It's like this professional grade video and photos, and it's like, oh my god.
It is exact. That's what I'm telling you. Like you have to hire somebody to do it. Like Dean Wesley Smith, he's the prolific pulp writer. He and his wife are both prolific pulp writers. They used to work in traditional land. Now they work strictly in indie land. But they have a team of like 7 people, I think, who work for them full time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they hand that off to them and just like keep creating these programs until we get it right, until we find the formula and get it right. And, and I just, as a one-man shop, I just don't have the time for it unless I wanted to just drop all creative stuff for, I'd say almost a month.
Well, and that's what you will run into with Shopify. I mean, that's the downside of all this. Or any other e-commerce platform where you're basically like getting into the guts of what a website is and how it runs and everything else. Yeah, I mean, the anthologies that I've been a part of that have gone up on Kickstarter and the ones that I bought off of Kickstarter, I got one coming. It's female combat veterans put together a horror anthology, which I'm really looking forward to.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's got like a charitable component and everything. But it's like I look at those pages. It's like how much money did you spend on this? Like
Yeah,
this is a lot of money that you put into, and that's fine, good for them.
Right.
Like I look at like an ROI. I could spend my time on that, or I could
Right.
spend my time on almost anything else. I mean, I've got a wholesaler distributor thing coming in Japan. I got to like figure out, do I need to go to Tokyo or something? Like that's what
Right.
that's the trade-off. So yeah,
Right.
it's easy for me to get on here and say, oh yeah, just build a Shopify site. Well, that's taking you away from the thing that keeps the lights on. I mean,
Right.
and it will for some time.
Right. But at least if you're going to Tokyo, you got that plane ride. You can get an awful lot done in
Yeah,
13
well,
hours.
yeah, that's true. And
You know,
it'd be nice if they paid for it too.
well, yeah, you know, but it's like, it's still, you know, like I'll finish my newest since like 10 days ago, like my newest, um, Deranged Fan. I'll finish that, you know, doing the final read through now. Once that's done, I'll go to Kindle create the book, get it up on Amazon within minutes. Create, you know, I'll put it into Kindle Select for 3 months, get as many Kemp reads as I can, and then I'll go wide. But in the meantime, I'll go over to Draft to Digital and load it up there anyway, and create the paperback, because you can do that.
Mhm.
Um, I'll I'll use Amazon's new AI for audio, and and make a paperback there as well, and it's done within a
Yeah,
matter of, really, you know, like, I'm making it sound like it's instant, but you know, but it really is almost. It's so quick, it's so easy, and you're off to you're in the market. Boom,
yeah.
after your sale, it's out of your hair, and you're on to the next one.
Yeah, no, totally. And that's I think that's why you don't see a lot of Shopify author websites, is
Right,
because the alternative is so much faster.
way faster.
But
Yeah,
I guess if you had like a limited edition, like signed
right.
copies, you know, like something like that, something really unique, well then
Yeah, like
maybe
Brandon
that's one way to
Sanderson did.
do it.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I you know, that guy Brandon Sanderson, the fantasy guy,
yeah,
like he did that limited edition leatherbound of one of his books. I don't know. I don't read his books, but
yeah,
and he made like $6 million from it or something like that. I'm sure that was just like one of those crazy, you know, stories that just happens every now and then. I haven't heard of anybody doing anything like that since. You know, but you know, that's the kind of thing like, oh, well, I could do that. You know,
well, yeah, it's all lightning in a bottle. I mean,
yeah,
there still remains no tried and true method to sell books online.
no, no, there really
You got
isn't.
a better chance of selling packaged peanuts online or something. I mean, like this is you really would, because there are definite ways that you can at least get in front of people. But I don't know. Sometimes it's just luck, and I think I think most of business is just luck, or being in the right place,
Absolutely.
right time.
Yep.
And you know, rather than like having some book of secrets to like share with somebody.
Yeah, you
Uh,
can write. Yeah, you could write, you know, or have a course on like how to do everything. Let
yeah.
me help you scale up your business and all this. And it's like
Oh yeah.
bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. The books I've had that have broken out almost every time, it was just a matter of luck. It was a
Yeah.
matter of like, I some way I either hit the algorithm the right way, which I think is very important, or the SEO, or both. Or I had, um, like maybe like Thomas and Mercer or whatever, put, you know, like when the Remains broke out, it was like it happened to become. They didn't even know it. We were having BoucherCon in Albany at the time, and they were ready after like 7 books to be like, you know, move on, you know, because you haven't really had a breakout with us. And meanwhile, they didn't even know this. Like I had already sold like 25,000 copies that month, and
Yeah.
I was outselling everybody, right? But it all had to do with, it was an editor's pick. They got it into like a Kindle countdown deal or one of those things. They got a BookBub, and they got like a few other things. And it all came together to just create this firestorm, this perfect storm, you know. And and they were kind of like being like distant and all this sort of stuff. And I had been through it before. I was like, all right, whatever. In fact, it got to the point where like the new editor-in-chief who had come in, he was like, "Oh, Ben, you're from this town. I have a group of authors I want to take out to dinner. Where should I take them?" I was like, "Thanks for the invite, asshole." Like, or whatever.
That's pretty bold.
Yeah. But less than a month later, they're like, "Oh, we're having a really select authors dinner in New York City. We want you to come down. We'll pay for your hotel room and all this sort of stuff." Yeah, I'm like, "Yeah, look at you now, huh? Look at you now."
And guess where we're gonna go? We're gonna go to TGI Fridays in Times Square because that's how petty I am.
Yes,
We're gonna bring you to some dumb chain restaurant in New York City.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was pretty nice, but but I got 3 deals after that, because of it. But but the point being, at this, whenever I've had something like that, it's always been luck or people, something converging that wasn't even supposed to, and
Oh yeah.
everything else still sells steadily though. That's all I want, and that's what helps keep the lights on, keeps me traveling and stuff like that. When stuff sells steadily and rapid release, all this sort of stuff, all comes together.
Oh yeah. Well, and to that point, this is like summarizing a whole series of books here. But the Black Swan series, which is nonfiction, it's about statistics and like how to think about what to think about, by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. I'm saying it wrong. Anyway, it's out there. It's a classic. The whole series is great. But one of the books in the series is called Fooled by Randomness. And anybody who is like this anxious writer or anxious entrepreneur who's like trying to figure out why everybody else gets the lucky breaks,
right?
Or trying, and there are many reasons anything happens, but the biggest takeaway from that entire series that I got was this idea that randomness has no obligation to appear random, where there's no it can look like it came together because of a reason. There doesn't have to be a reason, no matter how many things you observe and see that, like, oh yeah, you did X, Y, and Z, so that happened. But you could have had more than X, Y, Z. You could have 10 million different inputs all pointing towards something, and it's still random because you can never capture the entire cloud of chaos that leads to something actually happening. And even if you could, by the time you observed it, it would be gone, and there would be nothing actionable to do. So on the one side, it's kind of cynical, and on the other, it's kind of comforting, where you don't have to compare yourself against anybody. They might just be lucky.
That's right. I've always been fascinated with the Jungian theory of synchronicity.
Sure.
And it plays itself out. Like, there's no more illustrative way for it to play itself out than you're coming to a stop sign and another car is coming to that point at the same precise time you are. Therefore, like, if your brakes fail, you're going to get T-boned and maybe even die. End of life. And it was a totally random event. But how random was it? Because if you were born maybe a minute later, or if that person was born 30 seconds earlier, it would have been more like,
yeah,
and you live,
well, you wouldn't have even been there. You would have gone somewhere else.
Right. So I've always been fascinated with that. Like,
oh yeah, yeah.
Like, why is this person and me? Why are we converging at this same precise time? What are the chances of that? Maybe 1 in a billion, maybe 1 in 100. I don't know, but to me, it seems like a lot of things have to line up for that. Happen.
Oh yeah, or anything to happen. I mean, just anything. It doesn't even, like, us, just like, or me sitting in this chair, like anything like that. But that's what it all gets into. I got really into chaos theory. Gosh, I read that. There a bunch of books about it. Chaos theory had its moment about 30 years ago, when with Jurassic Park and all that stuff. But it wasn't whatever Oh goodness, my pen just blew up. Whatever was popular is in like the butterfly effect is just like
Yes, the butterfly effect.
yeah, that's probably the biggest takeaway that most people know about, but it goes way beyond that. And there's a lot that's in there in math that has to say about what you just said.
Sure.
That you can show in different ways, and it's I don't know. This all ties back to business for me, but I mean, it could tie back to anything.
Yeah, quantum mechanics, of course, and
Just anything, personal relationships,
string
anything.
theory.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting stuff. I read it when my kids are doing activities. So I'm like,
And you get blown away. Like,
oh, I
Dad's
love
reading that stuff again. Yes, I love it
Oh
too.
gosh,
All right, buddy. I gotta let you go. I know your time is valuable. And where do you want people to reach you right now?
I don't know. On Instagram. Actually, no.
Oh.
What you should do? Yeah, well, Instagram, yeah, because it's got a link tree with all my stuff. But if you want to see what I'm talking about with the coffee thing and with the purple cow concept and all this stuff, just go to writersblackcoffee.com. It's dirt cheap. The SEO keyword that I'm targeting has to do with that. It's crazy. I don't know. But it's all it costs. Super high quality stuff, all
Yep.
at cost. And if you like it, you
trust
tip
that,
a
it's
buck,
right.
and that's the profit. That's it. That's all it is.
right.
But I
And
think
leave a tip.
people will be surprised. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Ben. I really appreciate it. We'll see you back here in a little bit of time.
Yeah, for sure. For
You
sure.
can give us a little update on what's going on here, and we'll talk more about chaos theory.
Sure. Yeah, I'll bring some charts. It's really cool.
Excellent. All right. I love it. All right. And everybody else, have a great day. And I will catch you Friday with Troy, Silence of the Lambs, Lambert. He's going to give his, he hates it when I do that, but I do it anyway.
Which character in Silence of the Lambs?
Yes. He's going to give his monthly finger on the writing business pulse talk, or interview, I should say, on Friday. So if you want, show up at 3:00, crack a beer, the whole bit. All right, Ben, we'll see you soon, brother.
Cheers.
Everybody else, ciao, ciao.